Good morning, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript Party. I'm my buddy Rhett. I'm getting another late start. I'm just feeling kind of sluggish lately. I have to start working about 25 minutes. So I did make a nut. I got a nut for Rhett, and I cut out a little corner there, so you can see. And so it's a walnut. She won't be able to open this herself, but I already have it cracked. And this should keep her busy. Should be very stimulating for her. So let me give her that. There you go, baby. All right. Since I'm running late, I figured, okay, I need to probably not. Usually, what I like to do is I like to watch my previous video and then kind of get everything up and running while and then start my video. But unfortunately, today I am, like I said, running a bit late, so I'm going to have to. So I figured, you know what, how I get things set up might be of value to some people. So let me just do that. So that's generally, this is my ID. Now I have another project that I work on that basically, I think one of the biggest problems for regular consumers is that we get these cameras that we could take tens of thousands of videos and movies, and and I can do the same thing, but it's very difficult to share them in a way that is like reliable. And by reliable, I mean like outside forces can't just decide, you know what, we're changing our whole approach and we're gonna shut things out. Like I used to, there used to be like a thing called Video Net, Picture Net, Media Net, something like that, and I would upload all my videos to there. And like one day they just decided they weren't gonna keep old pictures, and they just deleted them all. And like that's where I had all my pictures, so they were gone. So I was like, okay, I need to roll my own solution. So I've been working on that, but I'm going to move to my space and time program. And then I also, the next thing I will do is I will start my Chrome up. And since in the evening I work on this other project, and I'm not on my extended video, I extended monitor because I like to hang out with my wife, and we both sort of work on the computers next to each other. She does her stuff and I do my stuff, and we watch Netflix. Um, I swear Netflix is just amazing. But anyway, let me start this in. So I type in npm start. That is the only command that I know of that you don't put the word run in front of it. Start is, I don't know why. I think that was a mistake. I think they should have made everything start. But basically, if you look at my packages folder, packages file, JSON, and you look at these scripts, let's see, where is start? See, this is start. So this ties to this. Everything else up here, you would have to say npm run and then whatever this command is. Start is the only exception, which is bizarre and weird. Now I do have a rule that I always shut down all other, anytime I go to the package, I try to shut all my other tabs down, because at some point you you can end up with thousands of tabs open, literally thousands. I'm not over exaggerating. I have worked with some people where they literally have thousands of tabs. Okay, so it is currently building, so I can't go to the website until till that runs. So now I also want to run my test. So I type in npm run test. So that ties to this command. So you'll see that this ends up showing up in the screen up in this command line there. So I've seen a pretty decent size increase in viewership over the last week, and over the last month, and then in the last week it's really popped up. And I went from like having like 15% from India, maybe 8% from the US, and then like 5% from Bangladesh or Egypt or something like that, right? And then like um suddenly, and then like, but it would only add up to like 35%. And at first I thought it was because people were using VPNs, but now I don't think that's the case. What I think what's happening is that 65% are bots. So they don't have a country of origin. They're just bots. Um, and now like almost 50% of everybody that comes is a uh, from India, and the United States doesn't even show up on the list anymore. Actually, I think that might be interesting. So unit tests are up and running. Let's go. Yeah, we don't really have time for that this morning, but anyways, yeah. So here's where we are on unit tests, and so since my unit tests has this dash dash code coverage right here in the package, since it has that command, um, it will generate a file, a whole website under the coverage directory and its index. And so here we go. And so basically what we're working on is this one set of unit tests that's coming here. Now, um, I have always been very skeptical of the value of unit tests. I still am. I think unit tests are incredibly valuable as a tool of introspection, a tool that like will make you sort of ignore the application itself and focus on your own your own code and your own coding style, and it lets you really think about that, and b, the general structure and robustness of the actual atomic level, lowest level pieces of the code. um, I don't think that's a good thing in general. Like as just a general rule, I think your developers, you really need them, especially today where people just don't write requirements and stuff very well. Your developer really needs to be deeply, deeply understanding of A, your domain, and B, how your application works, and the motivations and everything behind the application. Unfortunately, like back when I first started, you could really be just a developer and just focus on the code, and that's all you could, and you get your requirements and you write your code, and then somebody tests to make sure that your requirements that your code actually achieves the requirements. Those days are gone. Now, if you're lucky, you get a screenshot of a drawing that um, they that's supposed to convey all the requirements to you. Sometimes you'll get like, I think it's called Figma, something like that, where you can actually click in and it has some of the behaviors. One of the major problems with that, and I think the biggest reason that has never really, really taken grip in the um, in the industry, maybe it has, but I don't think it has, is because like the requirements are sort of hidden in there, and there's nothing that really prevents the Figma person who writes that to just suddenly just slide something, that something that used to be like a picture is now a hyperlink and all that. And so there's no auditing, and no, like you don't know, your requirements aren't really particularly specified. So anyways, as we click in here and we come down here, we see that we added a new comparator function. And this is a function that is written specifically and exclusively to be used by this get horizontally sorted visualization. So basically it's just a sorting function. It just describes how something is supposed to be sorted. So, and this is kind of nice because what happens is you don't have to, what am I trying to say? What happens is like this, you separation of concerns. You don't have to, this guy, you just say, hey, go sort this. And then whatever is sorting can just focus on, oh, okay, right now we're just sorting on the left, but maybe in the future we might sort on the left where there's not, we can just keep adding logic in here, and this logic only affects sorting. We don't have to worry about side effects and things like that. Um, so, it's just like sort of a tool. Now, since I deleted everything, all my other tabs, I don't know exactly where this is. So I'm just going to copy this right here. And I'm going to click this search right here. And I'm going to click that. And I'm going to open this up. And here we go. So I want to unit test this. Now, by default, when you first set up Angular, in the year of 2025, July 10th, it automatically creates a Jasmine Karma spec file in here. Now, be forewarned, Angular has deprecated this Jasmine Karma. So, I've spent thousands of hours, literally thousands of hours. Most of them I got paid for, but literally thousands of hours learning this stuff. So, it's already what they call in economics a sunk cost. I've already spent the time to learn this stuff, so it's not quite a huge lift for me to understand it. For you, it may not be worth it. If you don't already know Jasmine Karma, it may not be worth it since it's deprecated. But on the other hand, there are things deprecated in Angular that have been deprecated since like the very, very early days that are still in the code. I think there's like a thing in Java in the CSS files where you could say, like, I can't remember exactly what it is because I never ever use it, but you could say, oh, this Java or this CSS goes everywhere, is used by everything, and they've deprecated that since the beginning. It was in the original W3C standards for web components. So I think that's the only reason they've kept it. And I believe it's still in the standard for web components, but they've deprecated it in Angular, but it's still there. And I remember literally having sort of well, I don't really like it because um, the reason I don't like it is because like it makes it very difficult. Like I worked on a website, a web application once where like we had like little mini applications that were like on a dashboard, and we would have pages that would break when you added another mini application because the CSS was not being held to a certain spot. Or if you had a mini application up and then you added a different one, that different one would break, but if it was by itself, it wouldn't break. And then they had dozens of customers, and the different customers would have different little apps up and running, and for some of them it would break, and for some of them it wouldn't break. It was very unpredictable. So that was like something that it goes in this SCSS file that I can't even remember what it's called because, like I said, I never ever use it. But anyways, but the only point I was trying to make was that this could be deprecated and still be used in 20 years, or it might be deprecated and gone in the next iteration. Like they may no longer support it. Although I don't know how they support it because it is something that runs outside of it. I don't know. I know with end-to-end testing, I think I have my end-to-end testing built into this application, but at my current job, I built it as a standalone application, and I find that to be so much better than having it integrated in your Angular application. And the reason for that is because that it's called Cypress. That Cypress uses a certain version of TypeScript, and my application uses a version of TypeScript, and they're not the same. But so if you look in my, I think it's an Angular JSON, or no, tsconfig JSON, like, or no, I think it's in the package. We bring in a version of TypeScript that's for the entire application, but I have different applications running within this application. So I have three, right? I have unit tests, Jasmine Karma. I have Cypress, and then I have this application, and they may not all support the same version of TypeScript. So I strongly suggest if you're going to have Cypress for end-to-end testing that you do it that way. So I don't know if I hit back, if it'll take me back. See, it closed the tab that I was in. So if I hit this back button and back again. Oh, it did take me back in here. All right, so yesterday I created 2 mock visualizations. I went down a rabbit hole um, to um, um, I love you, darling. I went down a rabbit hole of like trying to understand why sometimes you need as unknown, and sometimes you have to do this. Oops. Like you have to say as unknown and as st visualization, and sometimes you don't. According to ChatGPT, apparently you need that because 851 because you need that because if it if the TypeScript transpiler can see that what you're doing is absolutely wrong, then you have to tell it unknown and then to that. But if it fits, like whatever you're doing fits, then it's okay. So I'm guessing that if I had like a blah colon blah, yeah. So it knows that st visualization doesn't have a blah, and I've always been very curious about that. And not only that, but like I don't never really had a good way of not spending hours and hours and hours to figure out why something is screwed up like that or works a certain way. And now with ChatGPT, that's sort of a new thing that did not exist. So now I want to create a array, right? Because what I want to do is no, I don't. I just want to test this thing. So if I say, yeah, I don't even know what oh, okay. So we expect a number, right? So const compare. And it is weird to me that it's weird to me that that it returns a number. It seems like it should return a boolean, like, or something like that. Like true if the left one is if A is bigger than B, and false if B is bigger than A, or something like that. But it returns a number. I don't even know what number it's. Oh, I guess it's gonna return 50. And then somehow the sorter will know. So we'll want to test this on its own, just because I believe what the sorter will know to make the bigger one first and all that. And how that all works is all behind the scenes. I suspect it works differently depending on what version of JavaScript you're using. And I believe almost all of us use the V8 version of JavaScript, and I don't really even know what that means. But I'm going to say service, because service is the name that was created at the top, and that was sort of the default when I built the service. It built out this specification file for me, and it named it service, and that was just a decision that it made. Horizontal sort comparator, and we're going to give it mockviz3 and mockviz1. So we expect the compare number to be equal to 100, right? Because it should return that number. So, but I think this alone will give me coverage here. So let's come back over here so we can watch and see when this is done. I think it's done. Are you done? I think you're done. Nope, it's still working. And it's giving me a warning that there's no actual test in this spec. And now if I hit reload, see, it's no longer red. So now we expect compare number, expect, and we put a parentheses, compare number dot 2 equal 100. That's what we expect. And let's just make sure it still passes. And then just for fun, let's break it. It's always a good idea to, like, just it passing isn't quite enough to prove that you understand what it's supposed to do. You also should be able to predict when it won't pass. All right, so then we want to do the same thing. Let's change this to a let. There's absolutely no reason to create a new variable. Compare number. And it's kind of weird, you know, because this is like, it seems trivial. So it's like, well, why do it? But it's like, it only seems trivial because we did it. If not, it would feel weird. Like the whole idea is, like, I think that when you're writing code, generally, if it's either easy or damn near impossible, and your goal is to try to make it easy. Now, a lot of times people, their goal is to make it damn near impossible so that other people can't follow in their footsteps. That is a tough road to go down. Okay, so that worked. So let's just make sure, well, we already checked that. There's no value in it. And so we have added unit test for our new function. Now, really, I want to also test that. I never know whether I should have a semicolon here or not. But it's probably going to be dependent on what sort, horizontally sort. Sort visualizations, comma. So that's what we want to get done tomorrow. It is 8:57. I have to start work in 3 minutes. I wish everybody a happy day, happy coding. It is Thursday. A lot of people like to call this Friday Eve, the day before Friday. Happy coding. Bye.